What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the Red Beard Outdoors podcast. I've got a fantastic guest for you guys today, and with Meredith here, Meredith Powroznik. She is Eastern girl, physical therapist, loves hunting and everything outdoors. We're going to get into a little bit of that. I always do this. We've been chatting for it's been like 15 minutes. I never end up recording that, and it's such good gold. We'll get into all those conversations here in a little bit, but essentially, I wanted to bring Meredith on because, again, being from the South myself, I'm very interested in whitetail. She does it with trad bow. She does so many other things as well. And physical therapy is also something that's near to my heart because I was at one point, for those of you that might know, looking to go into physical therapy. And it's a great career. You get to help a lot of people. We're going to figure out why Meredith has stuck with it for 10 years at this point, and how that has how her career has progressed there. So with all that being said, for people that don't know who you are, Meredith, who are you?
Well, like he said, my name is Meredith Powroznik. I am from Virginia. I'm a physical therapist with an outpatient clinic here. I grew up in a family of traditional bow hunters, and I'm a daddy's girl at heart. Everybody knows it if they know me. And I don't know, I just have a passion for the outdoors. My family has always been very, very active in the outdoors, and it just kind of came organically for me. And now it's what I love, and it's how I spend any time off that I get.
Yeah,
So,
that's awesome. That's
yeah.
awesome. So you grew up in a family of outdoorsmen and women, obviously being a daddy's girl, which honestly, and we were talking about my daughter ahead of time. I'm trying to make it as hard as possible for her to be able to find a guy that's good enough for her. Like, that's my goal, right? Like,
Yeah.
she's going to know all the good stuff and how to take care of her own self. So she doesn't need a man, but when she finds one that she wants to be with forever,
She'll
he's
pick
going
the
to be a good
right
one,
one.
right? Yeah, she doesn't need
Yes.
one, but when she finds one, it's going to be the right one for her.
Hey, that's
That's
what a
kind of
good
my
dad does.
yeah,
That's what a
yeah,
good dad
exactly.
does.
Exactly. So sounds like your dad's similar, keeping you right there by his side on all of his adventures. So let's talk a little bit about that. Growing up in the South in Virginia, for people that may look at a map and think, well, it's kind of north. Virginia's the South. It's still part of the South. Growing up in Virginia, go Tar Heels, not Hokies or
Oh.
what. I don't know.
Okay. All right. I'll let that one
Yeah, we're gonna
slide.
start off there.
All
We're
right.
gonna start off there. Well, I didn't ask you. Are you a Hokies girl or are you a what's the other one? University of Virginia.
Honestly, I'm neither. I went to
Okay.
Radford University, which wasn't far from the Hokies, so I did spend some time there. I went to UVA once for a visitation for college ball, and they said girls in pearls and guys in ties. And I looked at my mom. I said, "Mom, I don't think this is for me."
Yeah, it's definitely UVA has that like not quite a private school feel, but it's definitely got that more uppity Southern feel.
Well, for me, I wanted something that was a little smaller.
Mm,
So Radford was like the perfect size. It wasn't as
yeah,
big as UVA or Tech. It was a little bit smaller, but it wasn't like a, tiny little school either.
yeah.
So it was
Well,
perfect. It
and
worked
you're
out
wearing
well.
the Carolina blue colors, so
Oh, well, that
just
was an
make sure.
accident. So, so, you know, I just need to point that out.
But you did,
This
so that's what
was
matters.
not planned.
Just strap a Tar Heels symbol right there to you.
Hey,
Uh,
I'm gonna have to go change my shirt. I'll be right back.
oh man. So you said ball. I didn't realize you were a collegiate athlete. What'd you play?
I played soccer at Radford University, Division One. I played my freshman year, and I was trying to get out of college in 3 years because I knew I was going to go into PT school, and I wasn't trying to rack up a ton of student loans. So I played my freshman year Division One, and I enjoyed it. But I was like, you know what? This is not where I'm going to end up, and I have other goals. And
Mm-hmm.
so I continued with club ball my last 2 years of college, and then went into PT school from there.
Yeah, and I apologize. What position did you play?
I played defense for college. I was center mid for high school back in the day, but It's been a while since I've played it. It would be ugly, probably. A little rusty.
Yeah.
But
No,
I
but
miss it. God, I miss
that's
it.
cool.
I do.
I bet. But you go out there now, you probably, tear something or
Yeah, you're probably right. Shoot,
Yeah.
yeah. Now you got to warm up and stretch. A couple years ago, I went barefoot skiing and I didn't warm up first, and I pulled my hamstring, and I can still feel it. I'm like, gosh, I'm at that age. I got to like
Yeah.
prepare for things.
Right. Yeah, and I've got a buddy who's in his mid 40s, and he's big into the CrossFit style workouts, and he's like, man, I think he's very athletic. He's like, I probably spend more time in my warm up than I do actually doing the workout now. I'm like, well, it sucks. You
Functional
wake up.
longevity.
Yes, functional. That's a great term for it.
Uh-huh.
Especially if you want to be climbing trees and getting out and hunting and dragging deer and all of that stuff, or even those Easterners that want to come out west, and pound the miles in the mountains.
Absolutely.
It's no joke. It's no joke. So you played ball through college, well, freshman year, then club ball. Obviously you have some other hobbies that may or may not have taken up what little free time you had during college. How did you balance for the people that are looking at a career in essentially, it's 3 years for a PT. Prior to that, you have to have a bachelor's. So it's 7 years, possibly 6 if you can crank out a bachelor's in 3, but 7 years of college. That's almost a decade of someone's life. How did you manage your hobbies, which is now obviously a very big part of your life, but the hobbies of outdoorsmanship with college? How did you do that?
Well, in college, I actually lived on rooftop, like the highest level of a house, and it was pretty long. So I would take an archery target and I'd put it in the back of my closet, and I would go all the way to the other end of my room, and I would shoot. I would practice in my room. And that's how I would try to maintain. And then during hunting season, of course, I would go home a good amount. But it was difficult. It was very difficult because with it being, I needed to practice a lot in order to be successful. And in the past, when I've done podcasts, I kind of mentioned that a little bit, that it was a rough road for me in the beginning to find success with it, because it was so difficult for me to put in that time to practice, So it wasn't until I got out of PT school that I actually, moved back home, that I could really invest the time that I needed to invest to be able to be successful. So it definitely hindered me. But I had to focus on my career, and you just gotta sacrifice at times, and it all worked out in the end. But yes, I mean, a lot of traveling,
Yeah.
making the best of what you can.
Yeah, for sure. So are you 100% traditional archery? Oh, I guess I didn't realize that. So no rifles, no compound bows.
I will take a shotgun out on the last day. Now, I haven't always been, obviously my dad, when he started us out, he started us out with 20 gauge or 410 and a 20 gauge and a 12 gauge, and then transitioned me into the archery realm. But like, I'll pick up a bow in October, and I don't set my bow down until the last, day before last. Then I take my shotgun out the last day to collect all the meat that I struggled to get during the year.
Yeah. Oh yeah, definitely. That's awesome. Yeah, that trad archery is dangerous. I'm still figuring out and finding ways to. You'll never master archery. Obviously, there's so many factors that go into it, but I'm still figuring out the compound stuff. So I'm like, it's fun to watch the flight of the arrow with a trad bow, but I like to fill the freezer. So, I'm kind of balancing those two things,
That's so true. And you definitely have to be prepared to not fill the freezer in the trad world. And I feel like that expectation, that's something that Bobby Worthington talks about a lot, is like, when you go into that, you have to have an expectation and realize that most of the time you're not going to be coming home with something. And if you go into it with that expectation and that reality, it makes it a lot easier to stick with it. And that's so true. So true.
Yeah, no, for sure. So going back to college, you made it through. Did you make it into PT school your first year applying?
I did.
Very nice.
Yeah, I got lucky.
Yeah, I'd say that's
I
not
love them.
very common. I think they like to, this is me being a little negative, but I think colleges like your money a little bit. So they like to see you apply but no, that's awesome that you got in first go around. That says a lot about your application and people that, whether you're getting into PA school, PT school, even, medicine or pharmacy, all of those, it takes a lot of effort. It's very delayed gratification during those 3 to 4 years. Not only are you getting your bachelor's, but you have to fulfill all the prerequisite requirements, which I feel like almost should be a minor for most of these, degrees. But you fill all those up. Letters of recommendation for, again, I'm just kind of going through the checklist here for people that don't realize everything that means. Letters of recommendation, hours in multiple disciplines of, in this case, physical therapy that you're wanting to get into. And it's not just a couple hours, it's hundreds of hours in multiple disciplines that they want you to kind of test out and see if you're willing to. So a lot of delayed gratification. You get into school and it doesn't stop there. It's another 3 years now. It used to be a double bachelor's, and then it moved to essentially a master's, 2 years, and now it's a 3 years, so clinical doctorate, a DPT. It's been that way for at least a decade. So, what was it like in school for physical therapy? What kept you going once you got in?
Well, first off, I never planned on getting my doctorate. And then when they made it a doctorate, I was like, what? I got to get a doctorate?
Yeah, it was right about that time that we started applying. Yeah. Yep.
And like I said to you earlier, I'm Polish and, I'm Polak. And the combination of a doctor and a Polak, it seems like an oxymoron to me.
Yeah.
But no. So with the PT things, my dad was a professional water skier at Cypress Gardens back in the day. And he was like a couple weeks away from being on the world team. And he was doing a show at the Gardens, and he was about to do a jump trick or some type of jump competition. Whoever was responsible for wetting the ramp didn't do it. My dad ended up blowing out his ACL. Long story short, ended his career. He had kind of put all of his eggs in one basket. That was his passion. That's what he wanted to do.
Wetting the ramp, you mean like water ski?
Water ski, yep, hitting the ramp, they'd fly up, and so he ended up hurting himself. Long story short, ended his career. Many years later, when I was young, PT came to the house. I was probably about 5 or 6 years old, and they were doing home health with him after a knee replacement. And I remember sitting on the couch watching them, and I was like, wow, that's what I want to do. Like, that's cool. And it all just kind of evolved. And so that's kind of how I got into it. I kind of went off on a tangent there. What was your question to me again?
No, you're good. Just what kept you in physical therapy?
Oh, so I got into it, and it was so funny because the first year I called home to my mom, and you're smothered in it. You go to school, you're there from 8 a.m. until 6 p.m. You go home, and you are nothing but in the books all night long. I'm lucky if I could get, a workout in. I don't know how people had jobs. I don't know how they did it. But I remember it was the first year, and I called my mom, and I was so upset. I was like, Mom, I hate this. I just want to have a life. Like, I can't do anything. I'm so suffocated. And she was like, well, Meredith, like, if you don't like it, then quit, just, come home, do something different. And then I got even more mad. And I was like, what? You're telling me to quit?
Yep.
You're telling me to quit? Oh my God, quit? She's, poor mom. She got so helpless. I was like, she's like, what do you want me to say? I don't know. I don't know what to say. I was like, I don't know, but you shouldn't tell me to quit.
Yeah.
But so I don't know. I just put my head down, grinded through it. I'm so glad I did it. Don't know if I'd ever want to go through those 3 years again. That was tough. But it was so worth it. And just keep the mentality of, hey, I'm grinding these 3 years out for the rest of my life. Really, when you look at it like that, it's not that bad.
Yeah. Yeah. So, no, I agree. There's definitely a mix of it's hard because you hear all the people out there saying, like, live your best life today. But when you're in school and you're nose in the books and barely can get a workout in, which is ironic because that's what you're hoping to teach people to do, right? And that's another thing that I kind of have a little bit of a I guess not hatred's a strong word, but dislike for schools that make you spend so much time in the books, not being able to exercise the discipline that you're, in this case, trying to help other people get better with their physical health during those 3 years. You're kind of stressing yourself to the point of unhealthy, getting through that stuff. And anyway, it's something that takes a lot of dedication, and you're hearing all around you, man, people live your best life, go out there and enjoy it, live today like it's your last day kind of deal. And you're like, but it can't be my last day because I still got 2 years of school to do.
I was just looking, I was like, how am I going to keep doing this? And, I will say there were a lot of people in my class that made it look easy. They just, they just seemed like it came so natural to them. But I think for me, because I had so many hobbies outside that I wanted to be doing, that it just made it a little bit more, I don't know, grueling for me, because I just wanted to be doing other things. So, but it's a good profession. I enjoy the people that I meet. That's what I love. I'm constantly meeting new people, and when you help people, there's no better feeling than that.
Right.
You gain relationships with these people. Some of my lifetime friends were my patients. I've got friends now, they were my patients, and now they come to Father's Day for my dad.
That's awesome.
It's cool. It really is.
No, that's really cool. That is really cool. So grinding it through school, you made it out. Your mom had the right words for you, because if she had said, to keep pushing, you might have gone the other way and pushed back and be like, oh, mom expects so much. Instead, she said, oh, it's okay if you quit. And you're like, no.
She knew what she was from her psychology in me. She knew.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Parents know exactly what to say to keep you going in the right direction. So that worked. That worked well. Especially those Southern moms. They're a different breed.
Yeah. But she kept us straight, that's for sure. She still does.
Yes,
I'm still
indeed.
scared of her.
Yeah, one look, you know what's coming. It's like, yep. You're like, I need to be quiet now.
All right, this is where I need to.
Yeah, it's like, okay, I just hoping the guests don't leave before bedtime, because I know what's coming, and once they leave, like.
I tell you what, though, I will say, something goes down, they're the ones you want on your side, and that they're not going to stop until they advocate for you the way they want to. And so my mom,
Exactly.
I feel bad because I'm always talking about my dad. Everything is dad. He was a fun parent. He was the adventurous parent, and God, he's done so much, and I have so much respect for him. But I don't give my mom enough credit. She was grinding, and there were 3 of us, and she was taking us to the game. She was staying up every night, going through studying with us, quizzing us. She put in so much grueling effort, and I admire for it, because I don't know how she did it, looking back on all that she did. So
yeah, no,
I
for
definitely.
Sure. Yeah, that's the stuff that isn't the. It's like talking about first aid kits with people, It's like, it's not bright and shiny and cool and fun, but when you are prepared, it just makes life that much better. And it sounds like your mom did a really good job of that. Obviously your dad as well. But yeah, I would agree. There's a lot of one or the other. Usually it is the mom that's in the background and most of the time too, the moms that are like that don't want the credit. They want the small thank yous, and in this case with the Southern stuff, yes ma'am and love you mom kind of deal. That's what they appreciate more than anything. So that's really cool. That's really awesome. So she got you through school by telling you to quit. You got through you got through physical therapy school, and now, did you start off in your own clinic? What was kind of the progression after that for you?
I started out in an outpatient clinic that I had done a lot of hours and done an internship with. And I worked there for about 3 years, and then I started getting this itch, because that was in my hometown. And I was like, man, I was seeing my friends do travel therapy, and, it was just me, I was young and I was single. I didn't have anything holding me back. And I was like, man, if I'm going to do it, I feel like this is when I need to do it. And so I told my boss, and I remember telling him, he just kind of laughed. He said, I knew this was coming. He said, I gave it about 2.5, 3 years, and I knew
Mm-hmm.
that you were going to have to do something more, And so I did travel PT. I worked in Columbia, South Carolina. I worked in Texas. I worked in Hawaii a couple times. I was in Hawaii when COVID hit, and that's ultimately what brought me back home in 2020. And I moved in with my brother thinking that I was just going to temporarily be there and then I would leave again. And then, COVID stuck around and I was like, all right, well, I guess I'm going to find myself a permanent job. And that's when I got with the company I'm with now. And I ended up really liking that company. And so I've been with them ever since.
That's awesome. And now at this point, are you a part owner? Are you a partner? Is it a big company that there's a lot of physical therapists working underneath the umbrella?
Yes, I mean it's a big company, and I'm just a physical therapist there. I don't have any special rank or anything like that. And I'm okay with that because I like getting off work and being off work and be able to focus on the things that I want to focus on and being able to
Mm-hmm.
detach from work. You know,
Oh, yeah.
I do believe, I believe that a successful career is very important, but also just being happy in life is a big thing too. And being outdoors with my family, I mean, that's what makes me the happiest.
Yeah,
So I try to
exactly.
take advantage of as much of that as I can.
Yeah, no, for sure. And there's entrepreneurs and entrepreneurs, and if you're a good entrepreneur, it's just as awesome or as successful. There's some people that are meant to build businesses and grind and burn candles on both ends, and doing everything like that. But they don't really. Most of the time, the ones that are extremely successful at that don't have much else going on. Maybe a family, but even then, usually the family's suffering from lack of time with dad or mom. And so then there's the entrepreneur that you go in, you crush what you do, and but also you don't have to deal with the crap after the hours.
Right,
And
right.
you get to go out and do what you want to do, especially if you're trying to fill the freezer with a trad bow. You need all the time you can get. So
You're right about that. Preach it,
yeah,
brother.
yeah, exactly. Man, that's a whole nother game. But with physical therapy, so obviously you love it. That's cool that you've got to travel the states, all the way out to Hawaii and taking care of people out there. That's got to be an awesome time. Is that something that you would recommend for people that are getting into physical therapy and are young and able to travel? Was it awesome?
1,000%. 1,000%. Just to get out of your hometown and to go do it on your own. Well, it was scary. I literally messaged a girl on Facebook and, because I had found that she was renting out a room in her house. And I was like, hey, this is the date that I'll be there. I'll be flying there on my own. And then I got there and I landed and I was like, I really hope she answers because if she doesn't, I'm in
Yeah,
Hawaii with all.
yeah, yeah.
But you just learn so much about yourself, you learn how to do things alone. And, I know God didn't put us on this earth to be alone, but I think it's a very good thing for you to know how to navigate this world alone if you have to. And having the confidence to step into that and get out of your comfort zone, meet those people. You can never go wrong having contacts all over the place,
Mm-hmm.
and just the cultural difference. That was very eye opening too. And I, I don't know. I highly encourage anyone who's young, and isn't held down to at least try it. And it's not something that you have to commit to for long term. They're 12-week. Most of them are 12-week jobs. They're
Mm.
12-week
Okay.
contracts. So what I would do is I wouldn't commit to one company where they would give me health insurance. I would just go for 12 weeks and then I could take as much time between jobs as I wanted. So I'd take a job and then I'd fly home and hunt. And then I'd work PRN for my old company while I was hunting, during hunting season. So there's options, there's ways to make it work. And that's how I would do it. So
That's awesome. That's awesome. Well, obviously you love the career. What would be, I guess, give us two things that have, outside of all the hours and years that you spent in school, what are two things that have kept you in physical therapy for these 10 years?
the relationships with people, helping people. I mean, it's just like we said, it's so rewarding. It really is. That's probably the biggest thing. And also, I go to work, and yes, I do see the same people every day, but I'm not, I like, yes, we work in the same vicinity, but it's not like I'm going to work and I'm with the same people every day. I'm constantly meeting different people, and you just never know where that's going to take you. So I would say that's, and just fitness. I love fitness. So that stuff genuinely interests me. And, they say iron sharpens iron. And I currently work with some very, very intelligent PTs, and just being around them makes me feel smarter.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah.
Honestly.
Exactly. That's awesome. That's awesome.
So, it's all good. I appreciate where I'm at and the people that I'm around, and I think that's ultimately what has kept me there.
Yeah, and they do say, if you look around and you find yourself the smartest or most capable person in the room, it's time to find a new group of people because you're not going to grow. You may be
Exactly.
the example for someone else, which is cool, but you're not going to grow because you're not surrounded by people that are pushing you. So that's awesome that you recognize that as well. So all right, shifting gears from physical therapy, which is again seems like a very rewarding career. I know we kind of talked a little bit off air about how it's kind of turned into not as fun now for people going through school. Not necessarily once you're PT, you don't have to worry about school as much and everything else going on. You're obviously there's the continued education, etc. But if you're looking at going into it, you have to have that desire, that drive, that passion that obviously you do to push through because it's not like you're going to come out of school making 200, 300 grand and owning your own clinic and being the boss. Like it's something that you have to be passionate about helping people, like you said, with the relationships, helping people after their surgeries, being an outpatient, specific like what you are. And then whenever I was going through it, man, just the PTs and the OTs that were working with kids. Like I went and shadowed at where was it? It was the Primary Children's Hospital out here in Utah, and the kids that were coming out of cancer and so many other things that they were having to deal with and relearning how to walk and things like that. That takes another level of person as well. PTs definitely are in it because they love it. That's something that I've come to find out, knowing the PTs that have been in it for a decade, like yourself, or longer, is because of that. You're genuinely passionate about helping other people. So that's it. That says a lot about you and who you are. So
Thank you.
let's shift gears into, don't be fooled by the Southern accent and all this stuff, guys. She's stone cold killer, right? So when she gets something within bow range. But let's talk about, what's with traditional archery. Why, obviously you grew up that way, but at the same time, why haven't you, well, what's driven you to stick with traditional? Why traditional? Why not anything else until the last day when you need the freezer full? But what, why do you go out with a trad bow, not a compound, with the newest tech and everything else? Why traditional archery?
Um, it's the challenge for me. I would rather dedicate a lot of time to something and feel a huge reward at the end than feel like I don't have to put in as much um, time and effort and still be successful. It's a deeper meaning for me, and I don't want to belittle anything else because it's all about personal choice, and it's still hard to do it. I mean, yeah, I've never hunted with a compound, and so I shot a compound one time, and I was like, oh, this is weird. There's a lot of little things you got to come and get straight. You know what I mean? So like, I'm not discrediting that at all, but I just grew up in it. I don't know anything different. Um, my dad just really did a good job of kind of instilling the traditional mindset in me, and I think a lot of it too is me just wanting to make him proud. I know, like, my goal is to do everything I can to make my dad proud. And I know how proud and how much he gets out of seeing me succeed in those moments. because he sees a lot of screw ups, you know, a lot of failures too. He knows what I've been through, and he knows where, you know, the effort and the dedication. And so I think a lot of it stemmed from and still stems from my relationship with my dad. You know, I have people ask me too, like, somebody asked me the other day, he said, um, are you ever tempted to shoot a compound? And the more I thought about it later, and I was like, you know what? I think for me, it boils down to who am I doing it for? Like, if I was doing it just so I could have a big buck on my wall for people to walk in the house and be like, "Oh my God, you killed that," you know, if that was my goal, then okay, yeah, I'd probably take my shotgun out and I'd probably do it a little different. But I'm doing it for me and what makes me happy. And when I walk into my living room, I want to look at that thing and be like, I put in every ounce of sweat and effort and, you know, everything that I had into that, and I succeeded. You know,
Mm-hmm.
I didn't try to make it easier on myself to be successful. And that just gives me the most, I don't know, that just makes it the most rewarding for me.
Well, you went a little bit further. I was hoping you'd pause there for a minute so I could be like, there you go, boys. She said she is better than you. Okay.
No, 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 I did not say that.
No. I'm totally being sarcastic here.
You don't want to, like, you
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. That's all right. That's all right. You said it. No, that's not the case. I mean, I love to joke about it because it is. It's funny how touchy that topic can get between compound, trad, crossbow, um, rifle, shotgun. All that stuff. It's honestly, it really is all about what you want out of it. Why are you doing that? And I would say, even, I don't know. I mean, what's the furthest shot you're comfortable taking on an animal, if you don't mind me asking,
I
with a
won't shoot
trad bow?
past I won't shoot past 20. I don't even like 20. Like, my money would be between, like, yeah, like 12 to 15. That's
Hmm.
like what I would really like if it was
Yeah.
always my choice.
And that is so close. Like, it's funny because, like, out here, once I've got the sight tape on and everything, I know I'm going to hit the target. Like, when I go out and start practicing, I usually start at 70 yards. And for people out east is like, what? Like that, a lot of people don't even run sliding sights because they don't shoot past 30, because you can't really shoot past that anyway in the woods in most places out east and in the south. And out here, I can't even imagine. I can't imagine. I was sitting 15 yards from a big bull last year. Didn't have the right tag, of course. I was shooting cows and spikes, not the big branch bull, but he was sitting 15 yards from me, perfect broadside, leg forward, like your ideal shot. And I just had to watch him eat, just hoping a cow would pop out or something. But
Oh God.
it's so close, man, and I can see the appeal. And I've always said this because people have asked me if I'm going to get into trad stuff, but eventually I'd love to. I love the idea behind it. I love watching the flight of the arrow because it's not zipping out at 300 feet a second. It's half that or less. And you get to watch the arrow fly, correct itself, do its whole wobble paradox thing, and get back into alignment. There's something magical about that for sure. And but at the same time, I like filling tags too much, to take up trad
Right.
archery. Uh, so it's something that I've got a huge respect for, and I think a lot of people do as well. And we talked a little bit beforehand, and I'd actually kind of like to get into this a little bit more as far as the hunting community goes. I know there's obviously a lot more hunters out east than there are out west, just for density of people, more than anything. But the community itself, what you said, you do trad archery for you, and you want to obviously make your dad proud, but you love the challenge of it. You love getting out there and getting close with the animals, figuring out their patterns, doing things like that, the whole chess match. um and that makes you happy. You're not doing it for the clout. You're not doing it for, I mean, I don't really see anything else other than the pride of shooting a stick bow, um that you could do it for. Honestly, I mean, you definitely don't fill more tags. You don't fill more tags that way. So
Totally.
yeah. Do you geek out about like the whole arrow broadhead thing, or are you pretty consistent after year of shooting the same? What works works.
In the beginning, I never really went down that rabbit hole too much. And then I started elk hunting, and I loved my dad's old bow, and that was what I really wanted to hunt with. But I needed something with a little more poundage, so I ended up getting a new bow. And so in that process, and also during turkey season, I try to go to a lighter bow just to save my shoulder a little bit, which is not really recommended typically. If it was, if I had everything set up the way that I'd like to have one that I would use for everything. However, I don't know, I just went down a rabbit hole again. I'm sorry. What was that question?
You're good. You're good. Just do you tinker with your stuff?
Oh,
There's a lot,
yeah.
obviously, to tinker with in the archery world, but you just hit on something. I didn't realize you hunt elk with a trad bow, so that just piqued my interest even more. How, like, do you come out every year? Or where do you go generally for that?
So this will be my fourth year. And I go out to Colorado with a friend of my dad's who I used to hunt with. And public, we just hunt public. And last year I had a crazy encounter. I mean, every year has been phenomenal. I haven't slung an arrow yet, but we've had some pretty awesome encounters. Um, so this year, if I kill an elk with my longbow, you're gonna hear it from where you are.
Yeah, I mean, I'm right next door. I'm only a couple hours away from Colorado, so
Yeah,
I probably will. I probably will hear you
you
screaming.
will. You will.
Okay, so guys, just again thinking about that, 4 years you coming out from the east to the west, and it's a lot of money, a lot of time invested, to not come home with anything. That's a lot of commitment, to the
I
elk. So I
came
guess
home.
let's
I came home
go
with
ahead.
some
Oh, you did. Okay.
knowledge and experience.
Oh, now you're getting wise on me.
I
That's
mean,
that.
that's that's though that is
Yeah.
that's where you got to put your focus in the trad world. I mean, really, you learn something from every encounter, and if you think about it like, I didn't come home with an animal, then you're never going to stick with it. So, yeah, that was my deep moment. Okay, continue.
Yeah. She got super wise.
Yeah.
The with your trad bow, you should go North Idaho. Because you can't shoot past 15 yards anyway with how thick it is, as far as the brush. But and you are right. It took me, what I have on my third year with a tag in my pocket. I'd been elk hunting 5-6 years. But with a tag in my pocket, it was my third year when I tagged out. And that was, again, just sheer determination, essentially. Like everyone else in the hunting party had gone home. And I was like, I've got one more day. I saw one elk butt at the top of that mountain. And, if I hike up there and they're not there anymore, cool. If they are, awesome. Worked out great. And then this last year, same thing, just kind of, just sheer determination of, bad weather, everything like that. And I didn't let that send me home, even though, trust me, I'd rather be home in a nice warm bed with my kids, snuggled in, watching a movie kind of deal. All those thoughts go through your head. You want to be back home with your family, I'm sure, take care of your patients and just all the things that creep into your mind when you've gone days without, hearing an elk even or seeing one, let alone the idea of having an opportunity at one. So I guess I joke about you being wise, but it really is true. There's a lot of. I don't recommend people going out, especially with a bow, but even with a rifle, because there's a pumpkin patch on the mountain. If you go out during rifle season, at least on public land, but with the knowledge and experience that you've gained, it keeps you wanting to go back, and that's something that's big. I think a lot of people should understand that. When you get into it, don't expect to kill an elk on the first time unless you're going outfitted on private where they have those elk essentially where they know where they're going to be 100%. And even then, you still have to make a good shot. with your experience, what keeps you coming back for elk? Why not stick with, I mean, Virginia's got good whitetail hunting, you know, amazing states that border Virginia that have great whitetail hunting. You go a little bit further west to Illinois, Wisconsin, like all those states before Colorado, you've got plenty of good hunting. So what's keeping you going to go after elk?
It's the same thing. It's the challenge, you know? And the thing is, you know, what I've learned, because I mean, other than doing that, I've never really done a whole lot out west. But you go out there, and even if you don't have success, it is so physically demanding that even if you don't kill anything, the mental clarity that comes in the time that you're there and the amount of stuff that you can just think about, you know, in life, that you don't slow down enough in your regular day to really sit back and ponder, you know. It just has such a way of clearing your mind, and it's such a physical challenge. I mean, the blisters on my feet after last year were gnarly. I mean, they were, but you're proud of them because you feel like you earned them, you know?
Mm-hmm.
I think I was there maybe, I don't know, 10 days last year, and we hiked 70 plus miles. We were 11,000 to 12,000 foot elevation. So it's like, okay, yeah, I didn't kill anything, but I had some really cool encounters. And I'm proud of myself for sleeping on the ground for almost 2 weeks, you know, just doing it the hard way. I feel like people need to do that just to appreciate the everyday things that they have. There's so many benefits from it. And I feel like a lot of people should experience that.
I agree.
So,
There was a guy that came out recently for a Spartan race out here. Um, and my wife was running it, and you know, I knew a bunch of people in the group, and he just brought up how, because there, and this is a big reason why I moved and stayed out west, rather than going back to the East Coast, is all the public land and the mountains. You know, I tell my wife, you know, I fell in love with her, and then I fell in love with public land. She's like, I don't know which one was first, honestly, but I'm glad I'm on the list. Like, you know,
it's
but
awesome.
it really, like, I can glass deer from here to that mountainside right there, especially in the wintertime when it's snowy and everything, and it's just amazing. You can drive 10 minutes and you can be at 3 or 4 different trailheads that hit different parts of the mountain, and it's really, I absolutely love it. And so this guy came out for the Spartan race, and he grew up in cities. Currently lives in Chicago. Lots of city, lots of noise. Him and his girlfriend hiked, just picked a trail to hike the day before the Spartan, and he said, I started crying. He was like, I got up there, and he was like, we weren't even at the top. I felt kind of stupid because we were like halfway up this trail and we're still in the canyon, and I'm like, man, this is gorgeous, you know. And it really is something that people, you know, if you don't get out in nature a lot, it can be essentially a spiritual experience. You know, we we kind of joke about the mountains being like church when it's hunting season,
Yeah.
but I do genuinely feel like I have a different experience at church and then in the temple, and then up on the mountain. They're just different ways that I communicate with God, and I'm able to turn things off more. Obviously, up in the mountains, there's less people. You get to have those beautiful views and just experience nature for what it is. Sit back and enjoy it. And then, not to mention, I'm surprised you haven't said it, but the first time you heard an elk bugle,
Hmm.
how did that make you feel? Oh, that smile said it all.
I thought I was going to throw up.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
was, I mean, it's so surreal, and it's like, oh my God, this is happening. You know, when you've only really hunted whitetails, an animal that big, and you know, it's hollering back at you. And I mean, in the beginning, I mean, I was the first time I went out there, I was very just like couldn't
Mm,
relax because I wanted
yep.
so badly to keep up and to not let anybody down and to make sure that I wasn't looking stupid, you know, to try to be a step ahead, even though I didn't really know what I was doing. I was trying to be aware. And, but once I finally settled in, I was like, okay, you know, I mean, it's a lot the first time you go to hunt big game. I mean, it's like, whoa, you know, and when you hear that, and I'll never forget the first time I went, we were at the base of this mountain and we saw him up on top, and he came running down. The sun was coming up behind him and it was still cold, and he just started bugling on the top of that hill, probably 60 yards from me, broadside, and you could see the air and the coal, coming out of his mouth, and the sun was coming up behind him. And I just remember sitting in that moment, just like, I think my jaw was on the ground. I was just, it was like so surreal, so
Yeah.
surreal.
Oh yeah.
And it just makes it so worth it.
And in that moment, she realized she effed up and brought a trad bow. Yeah, because 60 yards, man. That is, I killed my first bull at 70, pinwheel, full pass through. Like, if you're good at trad bow, you probably could have easily taken that bull down. But I do love that wasn't part of your story, that you regret that, even though I kind of jokingly throw that in there. You're soaking in the moment, and yeah, the first time, I mean, it's crazy. Everything you can remember so clearly how that moment was. And for people that haven't heard an elk, I was asking someone at Total Archery Challenge. He was like, "Yeah, I come out to Utah, and eventually I want to hunt elk." I was like, "Have you heard an elk bugle in person?" He was like, "I've heard it on YouTube." I'm like, "No, you can have the best headphones in the world and have it turn the perfect audio settings and everything. It still won't be the same as feeling that bugle in your chest and seeing it, if you can, or even if you don't see it and you hear that bugle and then the cows chirping and everything else going on. It's surreal. It's like Jurassic Park, honestly.
Right.
It's freaking awesome. So that's really cool. And again, I bring that up, that you're choosing to do it the hard way. Honestly, it's just frankly what you're doing. You could easily pick up a rifle tag and go fill it a lot easier. It's not obviously guaranteed, but you're doing it that way because you're doing it for what you wanted to do and what you want to get out of it. It wouldn't mean as much to you, not to anyone else. Obviously, I'm just as stoked about filling my tags with a compound bow, but for you, it means that much more to even come home with tag soup because you had the experience and you had a trad bow in your hand, and being able to do that. So I want to touch on that a little bit, because we kind of discussed this again, going back to the East Coast. There's a lot more people, higher density population of people comparing their kills over the last couple of years, and measuring things. And honestly, personally, I like, people still, they're like, "Oh, was it a 300 class bull?" I'm like, dude, I don't know. It's brand Chandler bull, man. Got me excited. I don't care how big that thing is. I can't see the difference between a 300 and a 350. I probably know it's a 400 inch. That's pretty massive. But like a 300 class bull, I'm like, I mean, to me, that's huge. I mean, for people that haven't seen the two that are back here, are definitely nowhere near that. Maybe combined, but like,
right.
it got me excited. And so, that's something that, again, what is it that you're wanting to go out there for, right? And we talked about this a little bit off air, to begin with, before we started recording. What for you? What gets you excited about hunting and talking with other people? What do you like to hear and discuss with other people when you talk about hunting?
Well, relating to what you were just saying, when we came up, my dad, he always told us, it doesn't matter how big what you kill is. The only thing that matters is how it made you feel. And so I could kill a little doe with my bow, and my dad would be so stoked. And he would make me feel like I was on top of the world because of it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And that's something, when it comes to scoring, like you were talking about. I haven't really educated myself on how to score deer. Like I told you earlier, if you asked me what the scores were of these 3 bucks on my wall, I couldn't tell you. I've got it written down somewhere.
Well, that one's got a blue ribbon, so it must be first place.
Yeah, yeah. I'm lucky a couple times, but and that's something. The more effort you put into it, the more meaningful it is.
Mm-hmm.
It shouldn't matter how big it is. And when someone's coming into the trad world, you see all the highlights on social media, you get on social media, you get on Instagram, you're gonna pull somebody's page up. Oh, they killed a bunch of huge bucks with their trad bow. Like, oh, if I'm gonna go trad, I got to do that. No, you don't have to do that. You kill a little nanny with that thing. That's just as sweet. It's just as sweet. And I wish that was applauded a little bit more, and I wish that there was more emphasis put on that in the industry. But unfortunately, there's not right now. But I don't think that we should skip over that. I think, especially for young kids trying to get into it,
Oh yeah.
I mean, I don't know. I was talking about my dad early, and I remember one night we were at a restaurant, and this kid, my dad's, pretty decently known in this area for his success and, the hunting, his bow hunting back in the day and whatnot. There was a young boy that came up to my dad, and he started telling him about the first deer that he killed with a shotgun. And I sat there, and I wasn't involved in the conversation, but I listened just to kind of see. I like to watch my dad in these situations and how he handles them and navigates them, because it's just so impressive to me. And he sat there, and he could have easily been like, well, I've killed mountain lions with my longbow, and I've killed moose out of a canoe with my longbow. I mean, he could have easily done that. And my dad sat there, and he just embraced the moment with that kid. And the kid was, mid-20s, late 20s. I mean, he's, established to a degree. And he made that kid feel like he was just, the best thing there ever was. And he sat there and talked him up, never once made mention of what he had done, and I thought to myself, that's what this world needs more of. And, that's something that we do too much. You kind of talked about it earlier. People show you a picture, and then you're like, if you're proud of something, you show somebody a picture, what did it score? And it's like, okay, is this a comparison test? Like what? Like, I don't know. I don't know. I just wish we didn't go there right away. I wish we had a little bit more appreciation for just the success and the effort in general.
Yeah. And I think my little, I grew up North Carolina. I was, had a lot of, I could have gone a different road as far as I was the fat kid for a while. Fat kid, pale as can be because I'm a ginger. South Park started picking on gingers, and I was the only Mormon in my entire high school of almost 3,000 kids. So like I could have gone in a whole different direction of being bullied, and instead I embraced it and learned how to laugh about it, right? And all the stupid things that South Park talked about and all this stuff. I'm like, oh yeah, sure. Like, yes, I read my Bible out of a top hat and I shave my horns every morning. Yeah. But things like that, it's just, I learned to laugh about it. So when people say that to me, like what did it measure? I'm like, I don't know, dude. Do you bring a tape measure when you kill something? Like I kind of make them feel a little stupid, because that's my way of kind of pushing back of like, really? Like, I guess I won't be talking to you about my hunts anymore, dude. Like, and so when people bring that up, I agree. It's like when people make people feel stupid about asking questions. I feel like there's no dumb questions unless you've asked it multiple times to the same person and just don't like the response. That's when it becomes a stupid question. But your first time asking something, especially getting into archery, we want people, or hunting in general, outdoorsmanship in general, especially when you get out into the big mountains or any kind of woods out there in the East Coast. You want people to be safe, you want them to be educated, and you want them to know what they're doing, and you want them to have the best experience they can as long as it's ethical and legal. That to me is after that, after you've checked off the box of you're safe and taken care of, you're following all the laws, and you are if you're out there to kill an animal, you are dialed in as much as possible with your weapon of choice, that you will provide a quick death to that animal. Once you've checked those boxes off, in my opinion, if it gets you excited, go for it.
Absolutely.
That's really what matters.
And it's whatever floats your boat. I mean, if shooting trad bow, shooting compound, shooting a rifle, long distance rifle, you can't compare them because they all require different skills. And so you hate to sit here and compare one to the other, because we shouldn't. I mean, I don't know. I've done different techniques, and shooting at a running deer is hard for me because I'm usually shooting at deer that are still, and that takes skill, So everybody I don't know. I feel like everybody should be appreciated in their own ways, and we shouldn't undermine anybody for anything. We should learn how to respect each other for our different talents and skill sets.
I agree, but it also is, and then there's times where you can obviously throw the fun little jab. Like obviously Meredith doesn't like to eat venison because she hunts with a trad bow. So,
No. This is why my friends are hunters. I'm like, hey guys,
yeah,
y'all look
yeah.
like y'all had a good weekend. You're trying to
Hey,
help a
I'm going to
sister
save you
out.
some money so you don't have to, yeah, I'm going to save you some money so you don't have to buy another freezer. I've got space, Oh, yeah.
They're
Yeah,
good too.
exactly.
They're good to me. They'll usually share a little bit if I'm running
Yeah.
low.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah, no, I mean, and then there's an appropriate time and place to joke about it, but like uh in all reality, it's, are you excited about it? And again, ethical, legal, and then are you excited? And I honestly, even before wanting to be a physical therapist, I wanted to be a vet. And I kind of jokingly, but kind of not, say that I ended up not going down that route because the first time someone brought in an abused dog, that person would be in the hospital. Like, like I wouldn't be able to handle that very well. And people that know about that, they're like, well, why are you a hunter then? I'm like, well, because I love being out in nature and I'm providing a quicker death if I'm dialed in right than anything in nature is going to provide. Because between coyotes, bears, foxes, cold, starvation, like they don't go to some retirement home and fall asleep and pass on. Like that's not how animals die.
Right.
It's never a good thing or easy in that regard. And so
Yeah, and you can harvest an animal and still give it respect.
mm-hmm.
So
Oh yeah,
I feel
yep,
like that's
exactly.
yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, and you put blue ribbons on it. I want to keep picking on you about that blue ribbon, by the way. I don't
Hey,
even know what that is.
there's a red one back there too.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
but I don't remember. I don't really remember one. I don't know. It looked cool. Don't hate.
It reminds me of the movie Babe. Like when they are showing off the pigs, like the best pig, they got the blue ribbon. Anyway. that hey, there you
Yeah.
go. There you go. Yep.
Oh well.
That deer is now named Babe. That's what
Babe. Why don't we talk
uh
about my Ryan Kirby art? How about that?
there we go. Yeah, so I
Hey,
actually
that's
do
some
want
good
to ask
stuff.
you about that. What is that chart? Because I've noticed, and again, this is more hunting camps out east and in the deep south. They have. I didn't know if that was like this is where you shoot a deer chart, or what, like, or this is the different age of deer. Like, what is that
Right.
chart back there behind you?
So have you heard of Ryan Kirby art? No, you should look him up on Instagram. He's amazing. So this one over here is the growth and maturity of the white-tailed buck.
There you
And it
go.
talks about rut activity and, the differences in its back at however many years and different things like that. This one is the anatomy and physiology of the white-tailed buck. Um, I really like to study that. Maybe it's some of the PT in me, but it's also me thinking a lot about my shot angles and placement. And it's got like if you shoot him in the liver, if you shoot him in the heart, typically like your wait times and really, really good information on it. And he does turkey too and all sorts of things. It's very cool, but it's also very educational.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I
No, that's
don't know
cool.
him. I don't know him personally, but he does some very cool things. So I would check him out for sure.
That's awesome. That's cool. Yeah, and I would agree. There's definitely a lot of things that I've got to learn even about Western animals. But it's until you see it in person, it can be hard to judge a deer or an elk by, just their antlers doesn't really mean everything. And so again, the slope of the back, like in a whitetail, how their backs get, whether they're squared off or they're sloping, they got a bigger belly, that kind of deal. They might have the smaller rack and they're still an old, mature buck, and so
Right.
being able to see those things. One day I'll get there. I'm not quite there yet. This last year in North Carolina, I went back to hunt just over some corn because they needed to cull some does. And I called my buddy after I got the first doe down, and he was like, man, he's like, how big is she? I was like, well, she doesn't have spots.
That's
and he just started laughing. I was like, I don't know how else to describe her. Like, she's tiny compared to these mule deer I'm used to seeing, like I can literally, like a farmer carry in one hand, each doe on either hand. Like, it's
that's hilarious.
yeah, he was laughing so hard. I was like, she doesn't have spots. That was kind of my limit. Was like, if they still have spots, I ain't shooting it, kind of deal. But oh man,
Yeah, well,
um,
you're constantly learning, and I'm every year I'm learning more and more and more, and to say that you don't have anything to learn is always a lie.
yeah, no, I agree. With that being said, I do want to ask a couple things to kind of wrap this up here. First off, what is your dream hunt? And you can't say meat in the freezer. Well, if you what is your dream hunt? Whether it's doesn't have to be in the U.S. even red stag, elk, mule deer, bear, whatever. Well, what's your dream hunt?
Honestly, my dream right now is an elk. That's my dream right now.
With a trad bow.
With a trad bow. An elk with my longbow. That would be everything to me. I would, oh my gosh, to be able to be on the top of that mountain with that, or the bottom of the mountain, wherever on the mountain, with that elk, and be able to call my dad and be like, Dad, Dad! I mean, I'd be crying. But it would be, that moment would just be, that would be so cool. That's my dream.
Sweet. I love it. I'll have to send you a picture of the bull that was 15 yards from me for almost 10 minutes. Broadside. Yeah, I'll have to send that one to you. And then let's see. Okay, walk us through just real quick your equipment for big game, not turkeys, which that blows my mind that you shoot turkeys with a trad bow, because I thought there was two camps. There was compound bows, and then there was the people that thought that turkeys were born to be shot in the face with a shotgun. There's those two trains, and you just added a third one of trad bow. And if you say you head shoot them with a trad bow, that's even gonna blow my mind. Do you do that?
So, that's what I've committed to the last 2 years. And there's a reason for that, because it's pretty gruesome when you watch it online, and I don't know how I'll handle it when the moment comes, because I haven't done it yet. But I've been bow hunting turkeys for 3 years, and it's been hard. I mean, it's been challenging, and I have yet to find one. But the first year I had one come in, I mean, oh my gosh, he was like right there. He mounted my decoy, and when he did, he brought his wings up under him, and it kind of threw me off in terms of where his kill zone was, and that was, they're pretty small. And so I shot where I thought I needed to shoot. I hit him pretty good, but I never found him. And then after that, I got to thinking, and I was like, Meredith, if you're going to get him that close, if you're going to be able to get them that close, then at least if you're doing a headshot, you know exactly where you're aiming, and it's right there.
You need to get one of those big decapitator broadheads then, because
It's the
that
guillotine.
The guillotine. Yeah.
Yeah.
Or the I don't know if I'm sure you've heard of the Bomars, their decapitator 4-inch turkey head that they have.
Yeah.
I think it's like a freaking helicopter off the front of your arrow. Oh, it's ridiculous. Yeah, you can't. It's hard to miss. I'd dare say it's even hard to miss with a trad bow with that big of a broadhead off the front. yeah. But okay.
Well,
so
it's been a lot of trial and error. Like, it really has. And my dad came up with the coolest setup. I've got like a turkey body and then a styrofoam tube that I put on the body where the neck would be, so that I can practice shooting at the neck. So like I said,
not a big target.
Oh no, it's not at all. But the guillotine itself is probably about, I don't know, 2.5, 3 inches. So it gives me a little bit, but I don't have nerves as much when I'm practicing. So it hasn't come together yet. But if it does, it'll be pretty cool. Maybe one day it'll work out.
Okay, so that's third camp now. If I kill enough turkeys, I'll get a trad bow on a turkey. I'll do that.
You're never going to be ready for trad bow, so
no,
you just need to be like, I'm doing it. If not now, when? You just gotta.
Yeah, well, right now I'm getting back into long range shooting, and then the kids are getting into archery, so that's a lot of tinkering and learning for me.
Yeah, that is.
Yeah.
You
So
got a lot on your plate.
what's your big game setup? I guess what poundage do you pull? Because again, for people that don't realize, trad bow doesn't have let off like compound bow. So if you say you're pulling 90 pounds, you're holding 90 pounds. You're not pulling 90 pounds and holding 15. Like it's, yeah. So what's your trad bow setup?
So I had Keegan McCabe make me a longbow. It's a reflex deflex style longbow. It's 50 pounds at my draw. I didn't want to go too much above that because your accuracy, if you're struggling to hold a lot of weight, your accuracy is just not going to be as good. My arrows are about 530 grains right now. I'm shooting 150 grain broadheads, 75 grain inserts. The Easton traditional legacies, those are the arrows that I'm shooting. And I shoot split finger, so with a finger tab. I used to shoot with a glove and the Velcro. I had the biggest buck I've ever seen in my life at about 8 yards. I didn't have a shot. There was a tree limb between us. And I flipped my wrist over and the Velcro went. And when it did, he kind of spooked back and walked back, and I never got, I got him at 25 yards later, but I didn't I don't know, I didn't feel comfortable with the shot. So that one got away, but it was one of those things where I felt like that deer served a bigger purpose for me. I feel like God put that deer in my life to light a fire under my butt. You know what I mean? And that's exactly what it did. And my dad laughed and he was like, I know you didn't get that deer, but I've seen a change in you ever since that. And so I think ultimately it worked out the way it should have. But yes, so that's what I'm shooting now. So hopefully we'll make some contact, make it work. I don't know.
For the archery nerds out there, what broadhead?
The Magnus Stinger fixed blade.
2-blade, right?
So I was shooting, what was it called? I can't remember what the saber-tooth, steel force saber-tooth broadheads.
Yeah.
I've killed one or two of these bucks with that. I think I killed two of these deer with that. I really like that broadhead too. But I ended up transitioning to the Magnus Stinger. So that's where I'm
I've
at
heard
right
good
now.
things about that, even with the compound guys that like 2 blades. I've heard good things about that broadhead. Okay, tree stand, saddle, or ground blind?
So I don't really hunt. Well, ground blind for turkeys, of course. Saddle, I've never played with the saddle stands. I kind of am of the mentality of if it ain't broke, don't fix it. And I got hang-ons, I'll hang presets. And then Dad and I'll hang some preset like ladders for him. He still gets into some hang-ons and stuff, but I just, he'll be 80 next weekend. So just me being, the daughter, I'm like wanting him in ladders. But I've got a couple Lone Wolf custom gear stands, 0.5, 0.75. Killed my 8 out of that 0.75. And that was awesome. I mean, it's so lightweight, be able to move where you want to move. That's really nice to have, as an option too. So that's kind of what I do with my tree stand.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, Lone Wolf Custom makes some really good gear. The guys over there are awesome. Yeah.
Yes. Cody's man. He's impressive.
Cody's the man. He is. It's interesting. He's people probably see him and don't think he's a hunter even. He comes off as that almost like heavy metal kind of guy.
Right.
And he's definitely in the woods a lot more than the vast majority of people.
Yeah. Those gears never quit turning. Constantly thinking.
Mm-mm. Especially with the family he comes from. Goodness.
Right.
Yeah, sweet. Well, anything else we haven't touched on that you'd like to share with the audience?
Not really. Nothing that really comes to my brain right now. But yeah, hopefully some of that information was helpful.
Wisdom there.
Yeah, all that wisdom I got.
Yeah, all that wisdom. Cool. Well, no, I appreciate your time, Meredith. It's good to finally talk to you. I think we've texted and chatted via Instagram before that, and I appreciate what you're doing. Obviously, again, I appreciate the career that you have with physical therapy, but also finding and making time to continue your career in the outdoors as well. Progressing, learning, and of course sharing that knowledge with the people that follow you and everything there. So definitely appreciate that, and hopefully continue to have people like yourself and others out there that are just real people that aren't, this pet peeve of mine. I'm going to get on my soapbox for a minute, but that whole being bought and paid for, selling crap, and it's okay to have sponsors that you believe in, but when you're just selling it just to sell it, or selling the dream to people that even yourself isn't real. Like going and killing out the elk that first year, you've been out there 4 years and it hasn't happened. So hopefully this year's the year. If you're coming out this year to Colorado.
I am.
Okay. So I'm sure I'll hear that scream from the top of the Colorado mountains out here.
Hopefully it's a good scream.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. No. Yeah. No, that's awesome.
Looking
Cool.
forward to it.
Yeah, and I'm excited to see it. Hope you have a great rest of your day. And guys out there listening, guys and girls out there listening, please go and follow Meredith, follow her journey, what she's got going on. She does amazing things, puts out good content, good information, and go wish her dad a happy 80th as well. This will come out after his 80th birthday, but go let that stud know that happy birthday to him, and hopefully we've got him around for a couple more decades.
Thank you so
with that,
much.
Of course.
And
with that being
I really,
said, go ahead.
I'm sorry I'm cutting you off. I just want to thank you for having me, and I appreciate our conversation, and I'm honored to be a part of this, and hopefully we can do it again in the future.
Yep. Yeah, we're gonna get you on after you kill that bull this year.
All right. I like. Let's speak it into existence.
Exactly. Speaking it, yes. Yeah, and I'll airdrop you a compound so you can shoot that bull at 60. No, okay.
Hey, it's time to go. Let's cut it.
With that being, I know, right? Yeah, Carolina blue all day. With that being said, again, thanks Meredith so much for coming on, and guys, go follow her. Have a fantastic rest of your day, and like I always say, guys, get out, live your life, and love it.